Hello, Professor. I'm Nantian Chen. Today, I'm going to share my final project to Tim Hortons expansion strategy into Japan. As a Canadian brand, Tim Hortons has massive domestic recognition, but international growth requires far more than simply opening store abroad. Success depends entirely on understanding local customers, local culture, and stakeholder expectation. And to be honest, this project is highly personal to me. I absolutely love Japan, and having traveled there many times, I have always been deeply fascinated by their rich culture, their strict attention to detail, and their world-class hospitality. The Japanese word is omotenashi, which is the Japanese philosophy of ultimate customer service. Because of this personal connection, instead of giving you a rigid section by section agenda, I want to work through a cohesive narrative. I structured my analysis to answer a critical challenge. How can Tim Hortons successfully blend into this highly sophisticated Japanese market, respect its deep-rooted cultural difference, and still maintain its core Canadian identity? Okay, let's start with the executive summary, which provides a high-level overview of our strategic recommendations. Japan represents one of the world's largest and most mature coffee markets. During my own travel there, I was able to observe this bustling coffee culture firsthand and experience their market dynamics as a customer. Japanese customers are absolutely willing to pay a premium for high quality coffee experience, but they also hold incredibly high expectations regarding product quality, service, and branding. So my core recommendation is for Tim Hortons to position itself as accessible Canadian warmth. The company should combine Canadian brand identity with localized products and digital engagement. Rather than competition on low price, Tim Hortons should pursue a phased joint virtual strategy with the goal of reaching 100 stores within 5 years. Okay, understand the overall recommendation. Let's look at the central strategic question driving this presentation. To reference the SCQA framework, the situation is clear. Japan is a mature premium coffee market with strong consumer purchasing power. The complication is that competition is intense and Japanese consumers expect excellent service, consistency, and localization. So this leads to the key question: how can Tim Hortons scale successfully in Japan without losing its Canadian brand identity? So my answer is that Tim Hortons must think globally but adapt locally, and blending Canadian authenticity with Japanese customer expectation and stakeholder trust. Next, based on this challenge, I developed the following strategic hypothesis. My hypothesis is that Tim Hortons can succeed in Japan through 4 key drivers: localized branding, and community engagement, and premium cafe experience, and stakeholder and centered management. This matters because Japanese consumers often value emotional experience, hospitality, consistency, and trust more than some simple price advantages. Therefore, Tim Hortons should compete primarily through customer experience and emotional connection, and not through aggressive discount pricing, I think. Yeah. Now, moving to the next part, before I dive into Japan specifically, it's crucial to look at the bigger picture and understand why international expansion still matters in today's global business environment. Today's global environment is more challenging than ever. Trade tension, inflation, and supply chain disruption have increased the complexity of international business. But still, going global has huge benefits. Yeah, we can't deny it. Yeah, it helps us to not rely on just one market for income, and it gives us access to some of the world's most powerful consumers. Yeah, so for Tim Horton, Japan offers relatively low political risk combined with strong consumer potential, making it a strategically attractive expansion and destination despite modern globalization challenges. So why does Japan stand out as the right market for this strategy? Oh, so this is the advantage of Japan. I will share. Japan offers several competitive advantages. It has high purchasing power, a mature coffee culture, dense urban population, and highly efficient transportation system. Japanese customer also place strong emphasis on cleanliness, presentation, quality, and customer service. I think this creates an interesting market gap. Tim Horton can position it between expensive premium coffee and low-cost convenience coffee by becoming an affordable premium Canadian coffee. So, understanding the market is important, but understanding customers' behavior is equally critical. Several customer trends strongly influence purchasing behavior in Japan. So next, I will share the Japanese customer trends. First, when we talk Japan, I think the things like cherry blossom, sushi, and matcha immediately come to mind, right? So I think the seasonal innovation is very important. Limited time flavors like matcha and sakura tend to drive consumer excitement and encourage repeat purchase. Second, Japan operates strongly within the experience economy. This means atmosphere, store aesthetics, and the social media appeal heavily influence customer decision. Finally, because I have been to Japan a few times, and honestly, every time I'm there, I just love hanging out in their cafes. It really showed me how cafe over there are so much more than just a place to grab a quick drink. Yeah, they've truly become that essential third space. You know, a go-to hub for working and meeting up or just chilling between home and the coffee. Okay, once we understand the customer, the next question becomes who are the key stakeholders that can influence success in market, right? So next, I will share the key stakeholder. I think stakeholder management play a major role in global expansion. So we basically split our stakeholder into two main groups. In the top tier, we have Tim Horton headquarters, our Japanese joint venture partner, and of course the Japanese regulators. Then in the medium priority group, we have our employees, customers, and suppliers. Yes, so overall, having a strong local partner is everything here. It really helps us cut down cultural risks, get into the market faster, and make sure things run smoothly on the ground. In short, going global isn't just about making customers happy, it's about winning trust and fitting into the whole business ecosystem over there, right? Okay, next, let's take a closer look at the specific value Tim Hortons should create for the stakeholders. First, for our customers, value isn't just about a cup of coffee. I think it's about emotional comfort, reliable service, and testing that distinctive Canadian coffee experience. And for our employees, it's about professional respect and cross-cultural and training and real career growth opportunities. And for the local communities, Tim Hortons needs to focus on local sourcing and sustainability and real neighborhood engagement. So, in short, when stakeholders feel respected and included, and trust naturally goes up. And that trust is exactly what drives our brand legitimacy and long-term sustainability in Japan. But however, creating stakeholder value requires understanding an important challenge. That's a cultural difference between Canada and Japan. This is very important. So next, let me talk about the culture, because Canada and Japan has miles apart when it comes to how people work and communicate. If you look at Canada, the business vibe is much more casual, flexible, and focused on the individual. But Japan is complete opposite. It's very structured, precise, and entirely focused on team harmony. As managers, our biggest job is finding that sweet spot between Canadian friendliness and Japanese discipline. If we can successfully activate this gap, that's where our real localization success comes from. And the best way for managers to balance these two cultures is through a carefully crafted localization strategy. Let's look at how we do that. On the product side, we are not just bringing the standard menu. Tim Hortons should introduce localized innovation like a matcha double double and sakura donuts and even red bean tidbits. For the store design, we want to create a space that blends minimalist Japanese aesthetics with that cozy and warm Canadian cabin vibe. And for the service, we must embrace omotenashi, the famous Japanese philosophy of exceptional, anticipated hospitality. So overall, our goal is not to try and become a Japanese brand. The real strategy here is adapt locally while proudly keeping our core Canadian identity. As this Harvard Business Review study highlights, The ultimate goal of our global expansion is a perfect balance, adapting seamlessly to Japan without dilute the core brand identity that make Tim Hortons special. Okay, now that we've established our localization mindset, let's look at how we actually operationalize this through our functional strategies. Starting with marketing 4Ps. First, the P is product. We aren't just selling standard coffee. The menu will highlight localized beverages like matcha drinks and specifically and Team-Bates gift box beautifully packaged to tap into Japan's deeply ingrained gifting culture. Second is price. We are adopting a smart, tiered approach. We'll use premium pricing for our unique seasonal items, but pair that with value-driving, commuter-friendly combos to secure daily value. The third P is place. Location is everything. Our footprint will focus heavily on high-traffic subway hubs and major urban lifestyle districts where our target consumers work and shop. And finally, for promotion, our campaign will focus entirely on emotional connection, highlighting warmth, comfort, and an aspirational Canadian lifestyle rather than getting dragged into price wars. In short, every P is aligned to make Tim Hortons a premium yet accessible daily retail in Japan. Next, I will share the digital and promotion strategy. In Japan, however, marketing is not only physical. Digital influence play a huge role in consumer decision-making. Japanese consumers rely heavily on digital reviews, social proof, and influencer recommendations. Because of this, digital engagement should be central to Tim Hortons' promotional strategy. 9 is going to be our heavy haters, INE. It's like the WhatsApp we used, yeah, and almost everyone use it in Japan. So we are integrating it completely for loyalty points, coupons, and keeping in touch with our customers. For social media, it's a two-pronged approach. We'll design Instagram-ready products to get people slapping photos and use TikTok Japan to drive viral campaigns and fun, interactive challenges. In short, if you don't exist digitally in Japan, you don't exist at all. This digital footprint is exactly how we build real trust and scale our brand credibility. So, marketing creates demand, but operational execution determines whether that demand can be delivered consistently. So, next, I will talk about operations and supply chain. Now, let's talk about how we actually run the numbers and keep the shops running on slide 14. The big challenge right now is that global logistics are messy. Costs are up and inventory is tricky, especially for fresh baked goods. So our strategy to fix this is a local hub and spoke model. We are bake centrally and distribute locally while diversifying our suppliers across Japan and Southeast Asia, so we aren't putting all our eggs in one basket. We are also adding some regional backup into our distribution so that if something goes wrong, the coffee and donuts keep flowing. Yeah. So the big picture takeaway here is simple. In this day and age, having a resilient supply chain isn't just some back office paperwork. It's what allows you to out-compete everyone else on the market. Of course, strong operation also depends on another critical resource. That's people. So, next, let's talk about global HR strategy. To be honest, the best supply chain fails without the right people. For this launch to success, our frontline team needs to be a perfect mix of Canadian warmth and Japanese professionalism. That's why we are putting our money where our mouth is and investing in cross-cultural leadership, top-tier service training, and employee experience. Because I think nowadays, happy employees make happy customers. It's that simple. If Tim Horton wants to show a warm face to the market outside, we have to create a genuinely supportive culture inside first, right? Okay. Once we have our people strategy sorted out, the next major piece is how we handle our corporate citizenship and stay accountable over there. First, sustainability. By 3 years, we want 100% sustainable packaging and ethical coffee sourcing. We want to make sure we run our supply chain responsibly. Next is social responsibility. We are not just dropping a Canadian brand into Japan. We want to give back. That means partnering with local farms and neighborhood groups to be a real part of the community. And governance. This is all about absolutely transparency and sticking strictly to Japanese regulations. For us, there are no shortcuts when it comes to compliance. Finally, is accountability. We will keep our financial and strategic backers in the loop with stakeholder reporting and tailored specifically to Japanese investor expectations. So, overall, doing business is the right way and keeping our promise is the only way to build lasting brand value in Japan. Protecting our brand name is one thing, but we also have to navigate the global market forces. Let's shift our focus to globalization risks. We all know that going global is a double-edged sword. It brings great opportunities, but also major risks. Right now, the biggest global challenges are trade tensions, supply chain messes, inflation, and geopolitical instability. So, how do we protect Tim Horton from these macro shocks? We do it by spreading out our suppliers, taking a slow and phased approach to our expansion, sourcing locally where possible, and tightening our inventory planning. In short, the big takeaway here is that winning internationally today isn't about rushing into a market blindly. It's about being resilient, flexible, and ready to adapt locally. So, what exactly are we up against on the ground in Japan? The main hurdles are well-established competitors, high overhead costs, the fact that nobody knows who we are yet, and the risk of a cultural mismatch. But the real psychological challenge here is consumer perception. If we aren't careful, Japanese customers might just write us off as just another Western coffee brand taking up space. So that's why differentiation isn't just a buzzword for us. It's a survival strategy. To win, Tim Hortons has to stand out from day one. We do that through a mix of our unique Canadian heritage, smart localization, and emotional connection, instead of getting trapped in a race of the bottom on pricing. So, how do we actually de-risk this entire expansion? Let's break down our defense plan. We have an exact fix for every program we just mentioned. First, to fix the brand awareness program, we are going big from day one. We are going to push hard on strong public relationship, team up with top-tier influencer, and open a huge flagship store right in Jinja to get the whole city taking. Yeah. And second, for the test and product risk, it's all about testing and learning. Our research and development team will consistently test our menu, making sure localized favorites like matcha and sakura items and absolutely perfected for local palates. And third, to handle high overhead costs, we are taking it slow. We will use a phased investment approach and share resources with our joint venture partner to keep our costs as low as possible. And finally, for any supply chain bumps, we have a backup plan. We will use a multi-source strategy and blending both local and global suppliers. So we never run out of stuff. So I believe good strategy is not about eliminating risk completely. It is about planning for risk intelligently. Yeah. So next, with risk management in place, the next question becomes, how should Tim Hortons actually enter the Japanese market, right? Instead of trying to open stores all by ourselves, our plan is to form a joint venture with a strong Japanese partner. Yeah. First, the locations. It unlocks connection to prime real estate that we couldn't get on our own. Second, the know-how. They already know the local culture and regulatory rules inside out. And third, the logistics. We can just plug right into their existing supply chain infrastructures. After selecting the entire model, the company should begin with a carefully designed pilot phase. So, we have the partner. Where do we actually open the very first doors? It's very important question, right? Next, let's look at our pilot store strategy. We believe the smartest way to enter Japan is through a carefully designed, highly strategic pilot phase in Tokyo. Instead of scattering our resources, we'll target 3 distinct hubs, each with a very specific strategic mission. First is Ginza. You know, this is almost the most famous place in all of Tokyo. So this will be our flagship location, designed entirely to establish the prestige, brand authority, and elevate our overall premium image. Second is Shibuya. This is a location where target the young culture, and driving massive social media visibility and organic buzz. Next, third, Tokyo Station. This will serve as our high traffic laboratory to test our efficiency with daily commuters and capture the gifting-oriented customer segment. To put it simply, we are not trying to conquer the whole country on day one. The real victory for these pilots is to listen to our customers, smooth out the operational bumps, and get people talking before we push the button on scaling up. Next, once the pilot phase generates learning and brand traction, the company can begin structured expansion. Our expansion follows as disciplined, phased growth model to ensure we don't outpace our own capabilities. First, in year one, we get it right. We focus on the Tokyo pilot, perfect those matcha donuts and red bean timbits, and get our line loyalty program running. In year two, we hit our stride. This is when we take the brand to Osaka and Yokohama and start telling our story to the whole country and through national advertisements. And by year three, we go big. We'll bring that classic Canadian drive-through experience to the Japanese suburbs and focus on local sourcing to keep everything fresh. Our ultimate goal is to hit 100 stores by year 5. We believe this slow to fast approach is the safest and the most profitable way to make Tim Hortons a household name in Japan. So all these plans sound great, but the biggest question is, does the match actually work? So let's talk about these numbers. Our financial model isn't built on wishful thinking. It's anchored by 3 distinct revenue engines. First, our high margin and seasonal innovation like the matcha and the sakura series. Second, high volume commuter breakfast set to capture the early morning rush. And third, our customer Tibet's gift box designed specifically to monetize Japan's gifting culture. So to support this, our pricing strategy strikes a perfect balance, charging a premium for seasonal novelties while maintaining value-driven pricing for daily and commuter combos. Our official target here is to achieve operational break-even within 3 to 5 years. And the vital takeaway for our bottom line is this: premium localization protects our margins, ensuring we don't get trapped competing primarily through discount pricing. Okay, today I've covered a lot of ground, from cultural dynamics to financial projections. I'd like to summarize my final strategic recommendations. Our ultimate mandate for Tim Hortons is clear. We recommend entering the Japanese market through a strategic joint venture model, competing fiercely on emotional connection and localization. Never on price alone. Yeah. So our future success comes down to a simple formula. Combining the best of our Canadian heritage with Japanese and consumer experimentation, and strong partner trust, and operations that fit and local culture. So overall, I think going global is a delicate dance. Yeah, it works best when a company is flexible enough to adapt to a new market, but strong enough to preserve the unique identity that made them famous in the first place. Okay, that's all my presentation. Thank you to my only audience, Professor Lan. And this page is my all reference. As you will notice, most my core framework and insights will build upon the very foundations you taught us in class. And finally, I also want to be fully transparent about my process. AI tools were utilized to support brainstorming, structuring, and synthesizing academic materials during the development of this presentation. And the actually strategic analysis, recommendations, and final conclusions are strictly my own personal interpretation. And strictly my own personal interpretation and application of the course concept. Thank you so much for your time, Professor. Hope you have a wonderful summer. Bye-bye, Professor.